Everything you ever thought about Craig, if you don't know him, is true. Mm-hmm. He's even funnier in person than he is on the radio. Of course, he can say things in person he can't say on the radio. So.
No, I said them.
Well, but not the 7 words. Not the 7 words.
No, and here are the 7 words.
No. and with him, I'm so glad we honored the women artists, because his wife, Jane, is one of the great female artists of Arkansas. So, many of you, I'm going to read the resolution. I'm just going to read parts of it, but in the interest of time. But whereas Randy Hankins, whose radio and television name is Craig O'Neill, was born to Ernest Hankins and Judy Marion Hankins in the old St. Vincent Hospital in Little Rock on October 19, 1950, and is the oldest of 4 children. And whereas after graduating from Little Rock Central High School in 1968, Craig enrolled at Arkansas State University in Jonesboro. And whereas Craig was attending Arkansas State University, he enrolled in the Reserve Officers Training Corps for 2 years. See, he gave up on being a soldier. So
they kicked me out.
Oh, I'm sorry. We could amend that out later. Whereas in 1972, he received a Bachelor of Science degree from Arkansas State University.
BS degree. I'm sorry.
This is a serious proceeding, Craig.
Oh, okay, my bad.
In radio and television journalism. Prior to graduating from Arkansas State University, Craig married Ruth Jane Fryer, an artist, in 1971, and the couple has 2 children, Abby Hankins Kirby and Thomas Hankins. Now I'm going to skip through a few of these things, and I'll get to the important stuff. Craig was at KRN, KLAZ, and he was known for his famous prank telephone calls. Really? I will elaborate momentarily. My favorite, I'm sorry, sir. Yeah, my favorite prank, and those of you that have ever seen it, you can go on YouTube and find it. Just do Craig O'Neill, Texas. You might add an extra S on Texas. But he took on the persona of one Gilbert McElroy, the groundskeeper at War Memorial Stadium, because the following Saturday, the Razorbacks were going to play Texas at War Memorial Stadium. And Mr. McElroy called the University of Texas athletic department and told them that the groundskeeper had made a little mistake. And he said, well, sir, what's that? He said, well, when they're writing the names of the teams in the end zone, they put an extra S on Texas. And he says, are you saying that says Tex, dude? And he said, well, yes, sir. If you can sit up straight and not laugh with that, you have no sense of humor at all. It is an absolute classic, and he had many others. I've enjoyed so many of them. But after his 10 years at KKYK, he moved over to KURB B98.5. And then you may remember he became the stadium announcer for the Razorbacks, and he's the one that started that famous line, there's an Arkansas Razorback, first down. Y'all know it.
Sweet.
Well, say hallelujah.
Say hallelujah.
But during that time, seriously, Craig became known as working to help nonprofits and charities raise money. He always did it absolutely free. He's been probably the biggest promoter of our state, charities in our state. Then he moved to Channel 11, became sportscaster. And this was the part I didn't quite understand. When Craig moved from sportscasting to being the serious anchor journalist, I wasn't prepared for that.
I wouldn't either.
I just didn't think, I said, how can I look at Craig and not start laughing when he's covering some serious subject? But after 50 years in being in broadcasting, his last broadcast on Channel 11 was 10 p.m. newscast on December 29th, 2023, and he is now retired. However, I want to tell you what he's working on now. Something that's very near and dear to my heart and Senator Tucker's heart, the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, which helps address helps address our literacy crisis in the state. And so he'll still be helping to do that. And of course, we're going to work on that too, aren't we, Senator Chesterfield? We have been, yes. I do want to mention that I want to read this quote from him. He says, Craig says, "I've learned the true power of stories. We tend to think it's about me, but in the last 24 years, I've learned it's about you. I've been lucky to collaborate and share stories with you." And so without going any further, y'all can all read the resolution. Madam President, I move the adoption of Senate Resolution 26.
Thank you, Senator Johnson. All those in favor of Senate Resolution 26 to recognize Randy Hankins, whose radio and television name is Craig O'Neill, for his many years in radio and television broadcasting, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Senate Resolution 26 is adopted.
Madam President, if we can now recognize Craig O'Neill to address the Senate.
Thank you, Senator Johnson. Craig, you're recognized to address the Senate.
Oh, I'm recognized everywhere I go. I don't need that. What took you so long? 54 years and you're finally getting around to it. Tom Nichols goes 65. Good gosh, this is a slow working body. Just kidding. Thank you all very much. First of all, for radio, all the people that supported me all those years. Television, one of them is John Young, who is up there, who was a photographer that worked with me. And at the top of the list, my wife of 52 years, Jane Fryer Hankin. Never had a fight. They're called lectures. I will tell you all, the flags are at half-staff, and I will share something that nobody knows. The first prank call I ever did was to David Pryor. He was in a runoff with Jim Guy Tucker for Senate, for McClellan's Senate seat. I called them both, but David Pryor was the first. And I called and did this. "Hello, this is Jimmy Carter, President of the United States. I'd like to talk to David Pryor, please." I never got him because you all, in 1978, there were no cell phones. You had to go through a receptionist, and they're out campaigning. I'm not going to get to them, but what I was going to do, had I gotten to him, "You know, David, whenever I was involved in a tough election in Georgia, what I would do as a good luck charm is say the Pledge of Allegiance backwards. So say it with me, would you please?" Dang it, I never got him. Jim Guy, I was going to have sing "When I Wish Upon a Star." Jim Guy, could you do it with me, please? But I never got him either. So dang it. But thank you all very much. And I want to share something else with you. During COVID, if you'll remember, you couldn't go to health clubs. So I went walking. It was the same route every day during COVID, and it got boring. And then I read in Time magazine about a poet in New York who also was bored, and she used that time to memorize poetry. So I went, what a great idea. Since that time in 2019 or 2020, I have memorized every winner of the Kentucky Derby. I've memorized the entire United States Constitution. Pick a number 1 through 27, I'll tell you the amendment. Now, I asked Mark, the only one he knew was 21 because it repealed prohibition. And that's a true story, isn't it? And I've got to share with you, I memorized, among other things, a speech from Henry V, Shakespeare. I rememorized the Gettysburg Address. I memorized a beautiful poem by Langston Hughes. I'm in the process of making sure I know all the presidents, but this is the one that'll get you. I memorized the entire state legislature. Not only your names, but where you're from, where your home office is. I know that sounds impressive, but doggone it, you're redistricted, and then you had an election. And now it's totally bogus. However, I still use it, and Jane will verify this, when I'm having trouble getting to sleep. I start reciting the 2022 legislature, beginning with the House. District 1, Carol, and then I'll doze off. I've never made it to the Senate until today. I will tell you all, thank you for having me. This is, April is School Library Month. Today is Right to Read Day. What a great appropriate day to have me on. And on behalf of the Dolly Parton Imagination Library and Dolly Parton, who I got to know, my new best friend, and I will share with you when she spoke to the governor's mansion, she had to leave because her jet was waiting for her. She goes out the side door, and Clark, you remember, everybody was there applauding. She goes out the side door, abruptly leaves. Diane and Randy Zook were walking up the front of the mansion, and they see a child on the street corner holding up his Dolly Parton books. Just as her limousine passes, and the limousine stops, and the window comes down, and Dolly Parton leans out of the window and says to the little boy, "Come here." And they end up visiting for 5 minutes a woman who is a superstar, who is as real as Jonathan Dismang is to me, 15 feet away. Remarkable. That's why we support him. On behalf of the Dolly Parton Imagination Library and the Science of Reading, which is the next step after Dolly Parton, and all the communities leaders involved in Our Kids Read, and that's the next step, and to all the other media reinforcement, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I think we ought to move to make me the official Arkansas's best friend. All in favor say aye. Okay, it passes. Thank you all very much.